1 is comprised of 1 to 6 pages, and just on that bolded part, the highlighted part which says NB, each of these pages must also be signed by the magistrate, the deponent, and the interpreter. And then we go to Exhibit JJ1. At the bottom of each of the pages, I can refer to them. That's what appears to be a mark on the left. At the bottom.
On the far left.
On the far left, yes. Who made that mark?
Can we just get clarity? Is it this?
Yes.
It's my signature.
And then we see the initials, BS in the middle, and then what appears to be ET on the right. The BS, who made that?
The deponent, and the ET was made by the interpreter.
Asiyeke la ukuthi kokade ubhalile bese kunempawu ethize bekade yenziwe ubani oyenzele umpawu uthi signature yami uthi futhi umnumzana uRamusipili kunala kubhalwe uBS bese kubhalwa nento ebonakala ngathi uET ubani obhale uBS ubani obhale uET uthi uBS ubhalwe umsolwa uET ubhalwe uToliki.
But in terms of page 7 of 9, paragraph 13, it says pages 1 to 6 must be signed, not initialed, by yourself, the statement taker, the deponent, and the interpreter. Do you want to comment on that?
It was initialed by each one. I took it as a signature, although not the full signature. Every person signed in my presence on each page. And the last page, as per page 8 of the pro forma, full signatures were attached.
Kodwa ke lapho kubhalwe ukuthi wonke lama page kwamele asayinwe hayi ukuthi kubhalwe ama initials. Wena njengoba wawukade ubalisa lapho uthini ngalokho uthi mina ngithathe ukuthi njengoba babhala ama initials kuyabonisa ukuthi bayavuma lento ebhalwe lapho mina ingakho ngiye ngakuvumela ukuthi babhale ama initials bese emuva ekugcineni baqina sekuthi bayasayina ama full signature nangokho ngale bekuthiwe kwamele bayenza ama full signature kodwa ngiye ngayithatha injalo.
Now regarding exhibit JJ in brackets 1, that is the statement itself, did you, as the story was narrated to you, did you ask any clarification questions on issues that were not clear to you, or you just wrote as it was narrated to yourself?
I wrote as it was narrated to me.
Manje ke ake usitshele njengoba istatement sasikade sikhulunywa wena mhlambe wawulibele ubamisa ubuza imibuzo uba la ungacaciselanga la bangacaciselanga khona uthi cha bengikade ngibhala njengoba bebakade bengitshela.
I did ask one question, and that is about the word Carlos and Carlos, because I couldn't clearly hear what he said.
Umbuzo wodwa ongiye ngawubuza imayelana negama uCarlos noma uCarlos ngoba ngangade ngingezwa ukuthi wayekade ethini umso.
And was that ever clarified, whether it was a Carlos or a Carlos?
He indicated that it is interchangeable and that it is Carlos or Carlos, but for him it's Carlos.
Uthi ke lawo uye washo ukuthi lelo gama igama ukuthi lingahle lisetshenziswe womabini uCarlos noma uCarlos kodwa yena uthi usebenzisa igama elithi Carlos.
Now with respect, because you were narrating as you were told, this edition that you were taken through, that I was the only one without the firearm and I had a small one in my pocket. At what stage then was this added?
That was added by the deponent on his request after the full statement was taken already, and it was interpreted back to him, and he then told the interpreter that he wants to make an addition to that part, which he did.
Manje ke le ndawo le uthi ubuye kwagcwaliselwa khona ke ukuthi lindawo la kuthiwa bangade ngingenaso isibamu kodwa bengiphethe esincane esikhwameni kugcwaliselwe nini lapho uthi ke kugcwaliswe ngemva kokuthi statement sonke sasikade sesifundelwe umsolwa bese yena watshela uToliki ukuthi mina bengicela ukuthi kugcwaliswe laphayana ngemva kokuthi sekugcwalisiwe kwafundwa futhi yena wathi yebo statement bekafuna ukusenza leso.
As the court pleases, my lord, those are the questions that I had for the witness.
Yes. Mr. Domizul?
Court pleases. I've got questions, my lord, for the witness. Mrs. Cronje, we are here dealing with the statement which is taken as a confession. Do you agree?
That's correct.
Silapha mayelana nestatement esisetshenziswa njengokugonyuluka uyavuma uthi yebo.
I think for the benefit of the accused persons to understand the logic and the reasons why I'll be asking this question is because I want them to follow that the statement that you say it was made by accused number 2 was a confession. Do you understand that?
Ek verstaan.
I understand.
Uthi ke ukuze abasolwa baze balandelele ufuna ukuthi umanje asho ukuthi iqiniso ukuthi lesi statement noma lokugonyuluka ilokho obekade kugonyulukwa umsolwa wesibini uthi yebo yazwisisa.
Yes. I'll just make an example from the questions that I'll be asking you. For instance, if in a plea in terms of section 112 of the Criminal Procedure Act, the accused pleads guilty to a particular offense. As a presiding officer, if you are not satisfied with the elements of that particular offense, you are not going to accept that plea. Is that correct?
We object against that line of cross-examination. Firstly, it's irrelevant, and secondly, the duty of this witness was just merely to record what she was being told and not to make any determination.
My lord, at the end of the day, as a presiding officer, she had to determine whether what was given to her.
No, she doesn't have that choice.
No, my lord, may I be given an opportunity to
You say
address?
she has to determine. I can't allow that question. She determines nothing. I determine. She records.
My argument, may I be given an opportunity
Okay, fine,
to
go
address?
on.
I'm saying the witness is coming to assist the court to make a determination. The court cannot make a determination in the absence of anything that is placed on record. This is a presiding officer. So the presiding officer, at the end of the day, the court must make a determination whether it was an admission or a confession. Those bases, they must come from the witness who gives formal evidence.
Yes, you're right.
That's correct, my lord.
And she
That's-
records what the witness tells her,
That's correct.
not what she thinks the witness should tell her.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
That's it.
I think I'm misquoted.
We are not. Because you're saying she determines. She determines nothing in terms of the law. Nothing.
Let me just make this question straightforward to the witness. What is put to you when you were taking them? Was it a confession? Was it a confession?
The confession is an admission of guilt in its true sense. It's not for me to determine if he confessed here or not. It's for me to write down what he said, to produce it to court, and for this court to take it into account with all the other evidence to determine.
lento ebekade utshelwa yona wakade kuwukugonyuluka na uthi ke umanti yena uma ephendula ukugonyuluka ukuvuma icala mina bengikade ngingenayo ingxenye yokuthi noma bengikade kungasumsebenzi wami ukuthi mina ngithathe isinqumo sokuthi uyagonyuluka noma uvuma icala mina bekwamele ngibhale lokhu engitshelwa kona.
Yes, I agree with you. But my concern is you are here to testify under the provisions of Section 219. Because the performance that you completed, the rights that you explained to the deponent related to the provisions of Section 217. Sorry, 217, not 219. So this court must, at the end of the day, determine whether what was taken from accused number 2 was an admission or a confession.
Die hof, hierdie hof, u is korrek, nie ek nie.
As you say, you are right, the court, not me.
Correct.
Manje inkantolo kwamele ithathe isinqumo sokuthi lokhu obokade ukunikwa noma lokhu obokade ukubhala ukugonyuluka noma ukuvuma icala uthi yebo ukhuluma iqiniso hayi mina kodwa inkantolo.
What makes you to say accused number 2 made a confession before you? What makes you to say that?
Hierdie deposant het gekom en het gesê hy wil 'n konfessie aflê.
This deponent came and he said that he wants to make a confession.
Dit is nie vir my as voorsittende beampte en wat op daardie stadium nie in 'n hof was om te besluit dit wat hy wil vertel uit sy eie vrye wil is 'n bekentenis of is net klomp erkennings of is niks nie.
It was not for me then, as a presiding officer and who was not in court on that particular day, to then determine or decide whether this was a confession, a mere, or just a mere admission or nothing.
Hy het nie voor die hof verskyn nie.
He did not appear before
Dit
court.
was nie vir my om deur die getuienis te sif nie.
It was not for me to then take, in other words, to
Om deur
evaluate
dit
the
wat hy sê te
evidence,
sif nie.
or to evaluate that which he was saying.
Manje yini into ekwenza ukuthi uthi umsolwa ngalesikhathi ekuwe wayekade egonyuluka uthi mina umsebenzi wami umsolwa ufike wathi ufuna ukugonyuluka umsebenzi wami bekuwukuthi ngibhale lokhu abekade ekusho kwakade kungasumsebenzi wami njengoba nangokho nguwumantshi kodwa bengingahlalanga enkantolo la ukuthi bengizwa amacala bengilalela nje yonke into abakade ayisho ngibhala ngaleyo ndlela ebekade eyisho ngayo kwakungasumsebenzi wami ukuthatha isinqumo ukuthi uyagonyuluka noma uvuma icala.
Ma'am.
Die
yeah.
aanduiding, die aanhef van hierdie dokument beteken nie noodwendig dat dit wat op die eind van die dag gesê word neerkom op 'n bekentenis al dan nie.
And also the attachment of this document does not then indicate or say that what he then said on that day comes down to a confession or not.
Futhi nento ebhaliwe la ayisho ukuthi into ayisho ngalelo langa yayikade kugonyuluka noma cha.
Ma'am, the state called you to give evidence that you as the magistrate on that day, the 24th of June 2020, under the provisions of Section 217(1)(b), if not mistaken, Roman figure 2, you took a confession under that provision. Now you testify that the accused made a statement. What makes you to say the accused person was confessing before you?
Maar ek het daardie vraag reeds geantwoord
My Lord, I've already answered that
en
question.
dit gaan nie verander nie. Ek weet nie of jy wil hê ek moet dit herhaal nie.
And it won't change. I don't know whether you want me to repeat it.
As long as I'm not satisfied with the answer, I'll keep on asking it because it's a technical point that I'm going to raise. We
Dis
are all
welkom om
lawyers.
dit te reis,
You are
maar ek
welcome to raise
staan
it.
volstaan vir my antwoord, meneer.
Let
met
me
alle
just
respek.
rephrase it by saying, accused number 2 did not come to before you and say, I want to make a confession. Correct?
Nie in daai woorde nie.
Not in those words.
Thank you. That's what I'm drawing your attention to. You never said I'm coming to make a confession.
ake ngithi kuwe ke umsolo wesibini akazange eze kuwe athi ngifisa ukugonyuluka uthi nangokho angashongo ngalawo magama.
It's for the presiding office or that magistrate to determine that such elements of a confession does not qualify.
The court, please, we object.
There's no law
That
like
is not
that.
correct.
You can sit down. There's no law like that. There's no law like that.
The 217.
Yeah, but you're not quoting 217.
My lord, can we be broad-minded when we make
Yes.
submissions?
Within the law, no problem.
May I submit to the effect that Section 2171A that deals with a non-judicial officer who's taking a confession, he must take it before a magistrate. Why? Can't you ask the question as to why must it be taken before a magistrate? Because it says a peace officer who takes a statement from the suspect or the accused in terms of Section 2171A, it must be reduced into writing before a magistrate. The question is why before a magistrate? The answer is because the magistrate knows all the elements of a particular
Let me
offense.
tell you how the law developed. 1929, there's a case called S versus Mullen. You know that case, Mr. Hello? 1929, S versus Mullen, where it's transplanted from English law, where it was said that a confession is an unequivocal admission of all the elements
Correct, ma'am.
of.
A particular offense.
That's it, yeah.
Correct.
And the law develops from there. Now, this witness, that's why, for instance, I'm sorry to say it, she wrote everything this witness tells her, like even saying, he saw at me and said, shit, whatever. Her job is not to evaluate what the witness is saying to her. Her job is to take down what the confessor or the deponent wants to say. That's all.
But if
That's
there
why
is-
she's written, for instance, that the parents of some of these accused held a meeting, and some of the sisters of the accused wanted to report to the police. All those things. You can't leave them out.
No, but I appreciate the fact that the court has mentioned the case of Malin.
I know it.
Yes, my lord. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
At the end of the day, after this witness has taken a statement from accused number 2.
That's it, yeah.
Yes, the elements for her to say unequivocally that statement constitute a confession.
It's not for her to say that. That's all you
I
missing.
understand.
It's
I'm
not for her.
getting to the technical part of that because the basis for getting into that technical part, I'm getting into the statement itself, the contents of the statement. May I just get into the statement so that I'll make logic at a later stage when I'm making submissions? For instance, ma'am, let's get into this one. You talked about accused number 1. Okay, you talk about accused number 2 going to the room of Muzi. Then they later went to room 1B. Remember saying that?
Usakhumbula ukuthi ukhulume ngomsolo wesibini ethi uye waya egumbini lakhe umuzi mabaqeda bahamba baya eroom 1B.
Ek het genotuleer
I noted down,
Ngibhale ukuthi
en ek haal aan,
and I quote,
we were in Muzi's room and we then proceeded to Sifiso's and Ntokozisi's room number 1B. Unquote.
sasikade sise egumbini likamuzi sahamba saya egumbini likasifiso uroom number 1B likasifiso nomthokozisi.
Yes. Yes, in that statement that you took, you also, it is mentioned that accused number 2 was sent to the kitchen. Am I right?
Who's accused number 2? The deponent.
Bongani, yes, the deponent.
Kuleso statement futhi kunala kubhalwe ukuthi umsona wesibini uye waya ekitchen. Iqiniso lelo?
Kan u my net verwys na daai deel in die verklaring?
Can you just point
Just
to that
after that,
particular?
can you read that statement? Proceed with that statement. When they entered into Sifiso's room in 1B, then proceed on that statement.
Ngibonisa ukuthi kukuphi la ukhuluma khona la ukhuluma uthi uye waya ekitchen uthi ummeli qhubeka ufunde khona lapho la ugcine khona.
There's somewhere where they said the deponent was sent. He went out and left.
Kan u my asseblief verwys na daai deel bladsy ek kan nie deur die hele
Can you
verklaring.
refer me? I can't go through the whole statement. Can you
No,
refer
no.
me to a page?
Okay. In
Die
terms of,
enigste, ekskuus, ek het dit
Sorry.
gekry bladsy 4.
I found it in page 4.
As dit die deel is na waarna u
That's
verwys.
where that you are referring to.
yes.
Waar dit lees en ek haal aan. Karos and Sifiso then ordered me to go to the kitchen.
Correct.
Unquote. Dis 'n daai deel.
Is it
That's
that
it,
part?
yes.
Uthi ke iyona le uyifunayo la kubhalwe ukuthi uCarlos noSifiso baye bathi mina ngiye ekitchen uthi yebo iyona engiyifunayo.
Yes, I just want to note that part that you said, Carlos and Sifiso said, I must go to the kitchen.
Karos and Sifiso then ordered me to go to the kitchen.
Correct, yes. So in that statement, will you agree with me that there was no direct communication between Kelly Kumalo and accused number 2? In that statement that you have read. Kelly or did not directly communicate with accused number 2.
Daar is nie sulke inligting vir my gegee om neer te skryf nie.
There was no such information given to me to write down.
Uzovumelana nami ukuthi kuleso statement akukho la ukuthi uKelly Khumalo uye wakhuluma nomsolwa wesibini uqobo lwakhe uthi akukho la ngitshelwe ukuthi ukhulume naye ingakho ngayibhalanga.
All right. This statement further proceed to say when they entered, sorry, let me just rephrase it because I just want to draw your attention from what you were taken to, you were told to take down. Just bear with me, my lord. Just a
Okay,
second.
no.
Yes. I'm trying to organize a question that will be relevant for. Yeah. If you'll be able to answer this question, I just want to establish whether when you were asked about clarifications that you've made or you sought when accused was giving you or the deponent was giving you the statement, did it come to your mind that he was confessing to a particular offense? For instance, did it come to your mind that that deponent was confessing to a robbery at that stage? For clarification.
Wat ek gedink het op daai stadium of nie gedink het nie is eintlik irrelevant ten opsigte van die neem van die verklaring.
What I thought or didn't think at that particular moment is irrelevant when it comes to the taking down of the statement.
Ngalesikhathi umsolwa ekhuluma nawe wena uye wacabanga mhlawumbe ukuthi umsolwa wayekade khuluma ngokubanjwa kwenkunzi uthi ebengikade ngicabanga bekade kungabalulekanga njengoba ngangikade ngithatha lesi statement.
Hy moes toegelaat word om uit sy eie uit te vertel wat hy ook al wil vertel, sodat dit neergepen kan word.
He had to be allowed to say whatever it is that he wanted to say so that it's being written down.
Sonder om hom in een of die ander rigting in te druk waarin hy nie eers wil gaan nie.
Without putting him or cornering him into a particular direction which he did not want to go into.
Umsolo yena bekwamele akhulume noma yini le bekade efuna ukuyikhuluma ngaphandle kokuthi afakwe ekhoneni elithize.
Jy moet net kennis neem wanneer 'n persoon na 'n mens toe kom as voorsittende beampte as 'n landros om 'n bekentenis te maak, weet jy glad nie waaroor hulle met jou wil praat nie.
You must also take into account that when a person is brought before you as a presiding officer, a magistrate, that you know nothing about what it is that they want to tell you about.
Ukhumbule futhi nokuthi umuntu uma elethwa phambi kwakho njengomantshi awazi lutho ngento kwamele ayikhulume.
Ek het geen kennis gedra van die saak of die feite van die saak nie en ek het nie geweet wat hy wil hê ek moet neerskryf nie. Aldus hoekom ek hom gelos het dat hy praat wat hy wil sê.
Must also take into account that I didn't know the case or the facts or the merits of the case, what it is that he wanted to say. So he had to be allowed to say whatever it is that he wanted to say.
Ukhumbule futhi mina ngangikade ngingazi ukuthi bekwamele athini, ngangikade ngingazi futhi nangalo lelo cala manje bengingazi ukuthi yini ekwamele ngiyibhale ngaphandle kokuthi ngilalele lokho obekade ekukhuluma.
My Lord,
Able.
thank you.
Thank you.
Got no further questions.
Right, Mr. Munisi. Thank you. Mr.
Thank you, my lord. I
Kumalo.
have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mshololo.
No questions, my lord.
Okay, I just have 1, 2, 3 questions. To satisfy the courts. Do you know Carlos or Carlos?
Nee,
No,
Have you ever met any of those persons?
geen idee van
in
wie
your
dit
life?
is.
no idea who it is.
Uyamazi uCarlos noma uCarlos. Uke wahlangana naye uthi cha angimazi uCarlos noma uCarlos angaze ngahlangana nabo labo bantu.
When you're taking the statement, did you know a gentleman called Mapisa?
Nee,
No,
Ngalesikhathi uthatha lesi statement wawumazi uMaphisa uthi cha.
Did you know Basotho Hostel in Vosloorus?
nee, ek weet nie waar dit is nie.
no, I don't know where it is.
Ihostel yaseBasuthwini yase Vosloorus uyayazi uthi angazi ukuthi kuphi.
And at Ikedi Kumalo again.
Did you know Kelly Kumalo? No.
uKelly Khumalo wawukade umazi uthi cha.
And Senzo Meiwa?
Nee,
No,
You don't
uSenzo
watch,
Meyiwa wawukade
you never
umazi.
watched football
nee,
before?
no.
no.
Okay.
Kusho ukuthi wena